tax freight train is bearing down on your retirement. To protect yourself, you'll have to harness the power of zero.
Hello and welcome to the Power of Zero show. I am your host, David McKnight, best-selling author of The Power of Zero, Look Before You LIRP, The Volatility Shield, and Tax-Free Income for Life. If you are looking for someone to help you navigate all those pitfalls that stand between you and the 0% tax bracket, head on over to davidmcknight.com. Happy to hook you up with a member of our elite POZ advisor group, trained, vetted, qualified personally by me among the very best tax-free retirement experts in the nation. If you are a financial advisor and are looking to level up your game and adopt the Power of Zero worldview, head on over to powerofzero.com and we are happy to have a chat with you. If you would like to follow me on Twitter, I would love a follow on Twitter. I do periodic updates, commentary on various issues that impact the Power of Zero paradigm. Also, I occasionally write articles. Those are posted there. So if you want to get into all that action, head over to Twitter, and it's at McKnight & Co., at McKnight & Co. If you'd like to buy any of my books, you can do so in single copy on Amazon or pretty much anywhere you buy fine books. And in bulk, if you want to mix and match titles and achieve bulk discounts, you can do so at davidmcknightbooks.com. And would love reviews on any of my books or on our movie, The Power of Zero, The Tax Train is Coming, which can be watched pretty much anywhere you stream movies. Okay, today I want to talk about a question that routinely comes up after I give one of my live presentations. As many of you know, I do about 90, actually before COVID, I did about 90 live presentations per year. About half of them were addressing financial advisors. The other half were addressing consumers, members of the general public. Over COVID, I only did about 2 of them. So I actually, many of you don't know this, I only left my house once in about a 4-month period during the COVID lockdown. And that was in Puerto Rico, just to give you an idea of how, you leave our community and there'd be a sign on the gate that says, do you really need to leave? Think twice before leaving. Maybe you should hunker down in your home. Anyway, so I only gave 2 presentations during COVID, live presentations. One was at the beginning of the pandemic, one was sort of near the end, but really mostly webinars during that time period. But I've really started to get back into it, and I've noticed something as I've started giving live presentations again, is one of the main questions that I get is still one of the questions that I got frequently, almost after every presentation. And one of the questions that came up was a function of one of the takeaways that I give at the end of the workshop. And at the end of the workshop, I give 5 takeaways. First one is tax rates in the future are likely to be dramatically higher than they are today. Mathematically speaking, we're beyond the point of no return. Number 2, the only way to truly insulate yourself from the impact of higher taxes is to get to the 0% tax bracket. Why? Because if tax rates double 2 times 0 is still 0. Third takeaway is, hey, I've been doing this for over 22 years. Helped put thousands of Americans on the road to the 0% tax bracket. And I've noticed something very interesting. It's nearly impossible to get to the 0% tax bracket by focusing on just one stream of tax-free income. You can't get there, for example, by simply contributing to a Roth IRA. You can't get there by simply owning an LIRP. To get to the 0% tax bracket typically requires between 4 and 6 different streams of tax-free income, none of which show up on the IRS's radar, but all of which contribute to you being in the 0% tax bracket. So invariably, somebody will come up to me at the end of my presentation and they'll ask the question, hey, Dave, you said that there's 4 to 6 different streams of tax-free income. I only remember one from your presentation, which is interesting because I present 4 streams of tax-free income during my flagship presentation. I present the Roth IRA. I present taking money out up to your RMDs and having that be offset by your standard deduction. I talk about the LIRP and I talk about getting your Social Security tax-free. It's interesting that people tend to fixate on the LIRP, but the LIRP has a very specific focus and it doesn't do a lot or even a majority of the heavy lifting in retirement when it comes to generating streams of tax-free income. And so I have to pause and answer their question. And I tell them about 6 streams of tax-free income, which typically come up during our recommendations. So when we're meeting with a client or prospect, we'll say, typically recommend between 4 and 6, typically 6. I like to have as many streams of tax-free income as possible. I like to diversify our streams of tax-free income as much as we possibly can, because I think that when you explore all of the nooks and crannies of the IRS tax code, you'll see that there are tax-free benefits that are there for the taking. And each stream of tax-free income that I'm going to refer to today has something that makes it unique, has something that it can accomplish that none of these other streams of tax-free income can accomplish. And so what I'd like to do today, and this is going to be a bit of a review, but I think it's a worthwhile review because, gosh, I get asked this question so much, and I think that it bears repeating. So what we're going to do today is we're going to explore those 6 different streams of tax-free income. I'm going to talk about why each one is powerful. Each one should be included or at least considered in your tax-free retirement plan. I'm going to talk a little bit about how getting to the 0% tax bracket is a little like fitting pieces of the puzzle together. Only when you fit pieces of the puzzle together does the 0% tax bracket come into play. My colleague Larry likes to talk about it as the little ridges on a key. Those little ridges on the key have to be at just the right height. And if they're not at just the right height, they're not going to unlock the tumblers inside the lock. You're not going to get through the door. And getting to the 0% tax bracket is a lot like that. You got to have the right balances in your buckets, and you need to be utilizing the right streams of tax-free income, or the 0% tax bracket is not ever going to be unlocked to you. And so let's begin by talking about what those streams of tax-free income are. We'll talk about why they're critical to your plan, and we'll talk about what makes them different than the other streams of tax-free income that warrants their inclusion. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is the Roth IRA. The Roth IRA, if you're younger than 50, you can contribute $6,000. If you're older than 50, you can contribute $7,000. That's per person. You have to have at least as much earned income as you are contributing to the Roth IRA. Of course, you can't max out, and you've got modified adjusted gross income limits on the top side of $208,000 for a married couple. The thing that makes the Roth IRA unique, it is tax-free. And it also, by the way, we should do a review. Not only should it be free of federal tax, state tax, and capital gains tax, but also when you take distributions from a true tax-free investment, it should not count as provisional income. It should not count against the thresholds which cause Social Security taxation. So everything that we're going to talk about today satisfies those 2 requirements, but each stream of tax-free income that we talk about today is unique in its own right and does something that none of the other streams of tax-free income can do. So the Roth IRA, the thing that makes it unique is when you put money in, you can take the money out right away. You can't touch the growth, but you can take out what you've contributed to that Roth IRA right away. So there isn't that sensation like with your 401k, for example, that you're locking that money up until age 59 and a half. You don't have that luxury, and really any of the other streams of tax-free income we're going to talk about. They all have different streams attached when it comes to liquidity. So the Roth IRA's thing that makes it superior to, say, the LIRP is you have instant liquidity day one, and you don't get that in these other approaches. Let's talk about the Roth 401k. The thing that makes the Roth 401k is not its contribution limits. Okay, you can put in $26,000 per year if you're over age 50, but that's not the thing that makes it unique. After all, remember, Roth conversion, if you had $1 billion in your IRA, you could do a $1 billion Roth conversion all in 1 year. It's far superior to the paltry sum of $26,000 that you can put into your Roth 401k. The thing that makes the Roth 401k unique is it's part of a company plan, and typically as part of one of the inducements of that company plan is that they are going to give you free money. They're going to deposit money into your tax-deferred bucket if you contribute money to your Roth 401k. Now, I have to advise you that the Secure Retirement Act 2.0, which is working its way through Congress, will allow you to direct that match to your tax-free bucket. That is something that is not yet approved, but it's working its way through Congress. So the thing that makes the Roth 401k unique is that you get free money, okay? None of the other things that we're going to talk about today give you free money. That company match is free money. And anytime you get free money, it's something that you should take advantage of. Now, the Roth conversion, the thing that makes the Roth conversion unique, and I've touched upon it already, is that it can really be the workhorse when it comes to retirement planning. The Roth conversion allows you to convert as much as you want in any given year. I've done a podcast in which I've encouraged Mitt Romney, who has over $100 million in his IRA. We've talked about how he was able to pull that off. But if Mitt Romney wanted to convert his entire IRA to a Roth IRA all in 1 year, he could do so because there's no limits on how much you can convert in a given year. Now, there used to be income limitations for Roth conversions. Joe Biden has proposed income limitations for Roth conversions on any accounts over $10 million. Well, it remains to be seen whether that's going to appear in Joe Biden's final version of the bill. But the point is this, the Roth conversion can be the real workhorse when it comes to getting you to the 0% tax bracket. The Roth conversion has no limit on how much money you can shift from tax deferred to tax free. You just have to be willing to pay the tax. And if you have a lot of money in your IRA, we're talking $10 million or more, it probably makes sense to convert all of that before tax rates go up next year. There's a really good chance tax rates are going to go up in 2022. And once 2022 rolls around, you will be stuck at that 39.6% tax bracket as opposed to the 37% right now. So you could literally save yourself hundreds of thousands of dollars if you have those types of balances in your IRA. Now, RMDs. People say, Dave, how are RMDs tax-free? They're coming out of a tax-deferred bucket. Remember, the idea with the RMDs is we want the balance in your IRA to be low enough that required minimum distributions at age 72 are equal to or less than your standard deduction, but also low enough that they don't cause Social Security taxation. Remember, RMDs, even though they can be tax-free because they're offset by your standard deduction, count as provisional income. So you could technically take the full standard deduction in retirement and in doing so unwittingly cause your Social Security to be taxed. So we want to potentially avoid that. And we can do that by making sure that we convert enough out of our IRA into our Roth IRA such that the RMDs that are generated at age 72, when coupled with 1/2 of your Social Security, keep you below the provisional income thresholds, at which point your Social Security gets taxed. So the thing that makes RMDs so unique is they are the only thing that we're going to talk about today where you get a deduction on the front end, the money grew tax deferred, and you took the money out tax free. That's what I call the holy grail of financial planning. When you put money into your IRA or your 401k for that matter, you got a deduction on the front end. You did not have to, you were using pre-tax dollars. You did not have to pay a tax on those dollars when you made those contributions. The money grew tax deferred, and then by offsetting those RMDs with your standard deduction, you don't pay any tax on the back end. That's the holy grail of financial planning. None of these other streams of tax-free income do that. The only other thing that does do that is the HSA, the health savings account. You get a deduction on the front end, it grows tax deferred, you take it out tax-free. The only reason I don't bring that up a lot, I've done podcasts on it, the reason I don't bring it up a lot is because it does have strings attached. You have to use it for those qualified healthcare expenses. Everything else that we talk about today can be used for any reason at all. You can spend this money on anything you want, no strings attached. Okay, the LIRP. A lot of advisors out there go out and they talk about how great the LIRP is. And one of the things that they say is it's great because it's tax-free and you can put as much money as you want into it and there's no income limitations. And it is safe and productive. And while all of those things are true, the thing in my mind that sets the LIRP apart from all of these other streams of tax-free income is that, number one, it has a death benefit. So should you die prematurely, your heirs get a death benefit. But more importantly, for the demographic that I'm speaking to most often during my speaking engagements, those between ages 50 and 65, I always bring this up. I say, what do the average 50 to 65-year-old couple have 4 of? And I get all sorts of answers. Dogs, kids, homes. No, they have 4 parents, okay? And what's the likelihood that one of those parents is going through a long-term care event even as we speak? It's a pretty high likelihood. And so a lot of people, when they wander into our workshops, they're in the back of their mind, they're saying, how do we avoid going through what our parents are going through? How do we avoid having to deal with long-term care without having to feel the heartburn of traditional long-term care approaches, i.e. buying a long-term care policy? Because nobody wants to pay for something they hope they never have to use. The thing that makes the LIRP unique, the thing that sets it apart from all of these other streams of tax-free income, is that if you do it with the right company, you can receive your death benefit in advance of your death for the purpose of paying for long-term care. Here's an example. You have a $400,000 death benefit. You wake up one day, You can no longer feed yourself, bathe yourself, transfer yourself, what have you. Need 2 of 6 activities of daily living. You can find one doctor to write one letter to that effect. They will start sending you 25% of that death benefit, or $100,000 per year every year for 4 years, for the purpose of paying for long-term care. Now, they may discount that amount, that $100,000 amount, slightly based on the age in which you receive the benefit. But the point is this: they're willing to give you your death benefit while you're alive for the purpose of paying for long-term care. That is huge because, like I've said before, the thing that turns people off, that gives people heartburn about traditional long-term care insurance, is this idea that you could pay for something that you hope you never have to use, that you could die peacefully in your sleep 30 years from now, never having used it, and they don't send you your money back at the end. It goes to pay for someone else's benefit. The thing that makes the LIRP different is that should you die peacefully in your sleep 30 years from now, never having needed long-term care, guess what? Someone's still getting a death benefit, probably your kids. So there isn't that sensation of having paid for something you hope you never have to use. So that's what makes the LIRP unique. And, financial advisors love to talk all day about all of the other tax-free benefits that it has. They love talking about there's no contribution limits, there's no income limitations, so on and so forth. And sure, when you take distributions out, they are tax-free and they do not count as provisional income. Those are all great things. But in the back of their minds, people are thinking, well, a lot of those are things that I can get from a Roth IRA or a Roth 401k or a Roth conversion. And so they don't truly appreciate what the LIRP can bring to the table that's distinct from all of these other streams of tax-free income. Okay, the final stream of tax-free income we know is your Social Security. If you can keep your provisional income low enough, you don't have a pension, your RMDs out of your IRAs aren't too big. When coupled with one half of your Social Security, if, for a single person, you're below $25,000 of provisional income. For a married couple, you're below $32,000 of provisional income. Then your Social Security can be tax-free. And the thing that's great about Social Security is Social Security can help you in a lot of different ways. It's a little bit like an annuity in this regard. It can help you mitigate longevity risk. In other words, longevity risk is the risk of outliving your money. We know that with Social Security, it lasts until you die. You will get Social Security so long as you are living. We know that it protects you against inflation. It's indexed to keep up with inflation, historically roughly 2%. We know this year it's going to be indexed closer to 5 to 6% based on inflation, so it keeps up with inflation. It can also protect you from sequence of return risk. Remember, sequence of return risk is the risk that you face when you take distributions from your stock market portfolio during a down year. If you take a big distribution from your IRA while your stock market portfolio is down, it can send your stock market portfolio into a death spiral from which it never recovers. I talk about this in Tax-Free Income for Life. I talk about it in the Volatility Shield. So Social Security is one of those things where the longer you live, the better it gets. The longer you live, the greater the return on your investment. Remember, they're taking money out of your paycheck every step of the way. That's what we call FICA tax, right? It's 7.65% if you are an employee. It's 15.3% if you are an employer. So you're paying for your half and you're paying for your employee's half as well, so 15.3%. So Social Security, so you are putting money into the Social Security program. If you start taking Social Security at 67, you die at 68, it wasn't a very good deal for you. With Social Security, the longer you live, the more money you're taking out of the program and the better it is. And if you can take that money out and take it out tax-free, then that's an even bigger plus. Remember, if your Social Security gets taxed, you're going to have to somehow plug a hole in that Social Security. And how do most people plug the hole in their Social Security? By taking more money out of their IRAs and 401ks. I talk about this in my presentations, done the math 100 times in 100 different ways and 100 different clients. And this is what we've concluded, that when your Social Security gets taxed, you run out of money 5 to 7 years faster than people who do not have their Social Security taxed. Why? Because the act of compensating for Social Security taxation forces you to spend down all your other assets that much faster. So really what we advocate for here at Power of Zero is a multi-pronged approach to tax-free retirement. We want to have as many of these streams of tax-free income as possible. This is the true hallmark of a true Power of Zero advisor. I've given a podcast on how to recognize a true Power of Zero advisor from a false one. Someone who holds themselves out as a Power of Zero advisor will try to get you to put all your money into the LIRP. That's antithetical to everything that we believe. We believe that the LIRP is one small facet of the broader comprehensive tax-free retirement plan. It should be coupled with all of these other streams of tax-free income and utilized primarily because it solves a problem in specifically the long-term care problem in a way that does not confer heartburn like traditional use it or lose it long-term care approaches. So that really is the program for today. I just wanted to, just because I hear it so often, I just wanted to bring back to the fore this idea that true power of zero tax-free retirement planning involves multiple streams of tax-free income, none of which show up on the IRS's radar, but all of which contribute to you being in the 0% tax bracket. Each of these streams of tax-free income is unique in its own right. It contributes something to your retirement plan that none of the other things can do. And so you want to make sure that you have between 4 and 6 different streams of tax-free income. And you just really want to diversify your streams of tax-free income. So that's it for today. Again, if you need help navigating all of this, we're here to help you. Head on over to davidmcknight.com, opt in for a complimentary strategy session. We're happy to refer you to a member of our elite POZ advisor group. If you're an advisor who wants to learn how to do this for your clients, head on over to powerofzero.com. You can opt into a free 3-part video series, after which you can set up a phone call with us. We're happy to chat with you about it. Again, you can follow me on Twitter at McKnight & Co, at McKnight & Co. Thanks, folks. We'll look forward to chatting with you same time next week.